For this video, I'm just going to go over some of the main code for the squad AI we created. In the other video, we showed the tests, the AI fighting, and the EQS system. So see that video if you already haven't. So the AI has two main behaviour trees. So this is the main default one it starts with. So it's got retreat and hunt nodes basically. So if it's in danger, then it will essentially swap to the cover behaviour tree. If we open notice danger quickly, we can see this happen here. So run behaviour tree, AI cover system. If it's not in danger, then it goes on the hunt for the enemy. So it's mainly these two selectors here. This is just for when it's rescuing someone. So search will move to the enemy's location if they saw them recently, and they're still set to target. Otherwise, they will run the random movement EQS query, which finds a random point in the level. If they see the enemy, then they will chase them. They will set the default focus towards enemies, so they make sure they're always facing and shooting in the enemy's direction. And then it will eventually enter this attack loop 5 times. So long as it's valid, they can still see the target. The service keeps updating the enemy's location so they can pursue them. And then it just swaps between shooting and moving. Shooting just calls the fire function, which leads to the rifle here. So whenever the gun is shot, both of these run the threat and the shot trace, which line as fear gliders, and essentially they fire off in a straight line from the gun. If they hit the enemy, then if the line hits the enemy, then we apply damage. If the sphere hits the enemy, then we just do the threatened, because the sphere has a larger radius, so that's going to hit more often. So it signifies that the shot was quite close. And we'll show those functions in a second. So that's the main behaviour tree, and then we swap over to the cover behaviour tree when the AI is in danger. So in this tree, again, we can go back to the main behaviour tree when the danger's gone, or we take cover. So by default, it'll go into this find cover sequence because the in-cover key decorator will be false to begin with, as it is set in this task here, get into cover. So we run the find cover EQS query, which we described in the other video, and it will then set the key for get cover to move to, and it's in here that we then change the in-cover key to true. So then it'll come over here, and then we've got quite a wide selection of choices, but the main two is just duck and cover shooting. So if the enemy is firing, we run duck, which just crouches the AI and gets them to call out their enemy's location again, so nearby teammates can come to the rescue. And if the enemy is reloading, then we run the cover shoot, which is like the normal shoot essentially. And it alternates between them. There's a check enemy fire service that continually checks to see if a Boolean switch in the enemy is true or false, to see if it's firing or not, basically. So we keep getting that information. If the AI gets low on health, then need healing is called instead, and it's basically the same as duck, but it runs a request healing task, which is over here. So we signify we have low health, and then we get all AI characters in the scene, and any of them that are close enough, we then call a healing request function on them using the interface, which we will discuss shortly. Over here we have backup and close in, which basically when the enemy gets either too close or too far away, we either reevaluate cover if they're too close by running find cover EQS again, or we just move closer to the enemy to their location. And finally, we've got the stun grenade ability, which is only available when their AI is rescuing someone. We will show that in a second. So that's the behaviour trees. Just to quickly show the enemies, it's pretty similar. It's just a bit simpler, really. It's just kind of finds the AI, chases them, shoots them, etc. The main one here is stunned. So when the stun grenade hits them, they pause firing and stay still for a second. So in the enemy class, we have the stunned interface function. So that's called by the AI that throws the stun grenade. For the actual AI class, so for the controller, we have the perception component, where we get the sense actor, and then we basically run a few tests. So we see if the current target that the AI has still exists, or if it's too far away. If it is, then we check the new sensed actor to see if it is on the enemy team and if they're alive or not. And then eventually, if it passes all the tests, then we set them as the new target here. If it fails the tests, then we don't set them as the target, essentially. Yeah, that's the main bulk of it, and then it's all a bit messy, but yeah, every update we're basically checking to see if we're in danger and all of that stuff. Most of the functionality is in the AI class. We've got quite a lot here. So again, we've got the updates where we're checking the AI's health and see if they're in danger, and then we can set different keys to true or false. When the AI takes damage, we make sure it's from the right gun, so teammates can't hurt each other. We then deduct their health, and we then set that enemy as the new danger target, so we can set our AI's focus to them rather than ignoring them. Obviously run in danger, so they can go into the cover tree, and then check to see if they are dead or not. Well, if it's just threatened, then we still go in danger and into the cover tree, but we take no damage. And then we have the interface functions. So the interface is here. We have 4 different functions, and as you can see, we have only declared them with inputs, but there's no functionality in this actual class. It's all done within the AI. So when the AI is in danger, it goes to call for help. So call for help is just called on the AI that calls it, but then it gets all the AI in the level, and as long as they're not dead, it will then call the go into rescue function on all of them using the interface call. And then go into rescue will check different things to make sure the AI is close enough to help and isn't dead or in danger themselves. And if they can help, then they change their text to go into go into rescue, and then they get set the new enemy as their new target, and then throw stun here activates their stun grenade ability, and then once the target's rescued, everything is reset. And then this is the healing bit. So once request healing is sent, the AI that is close, if they're close enough and not dead, they can then heal target. So that's pretty much all the functionality. Calling for help here. So again, it's just checking to see what state the AI is in, and then it'll call for help. So that's the bulk of the code.